Ciao, and welcome back to another exciting and interesting episode of Richard Harris's Herbal Tutorials. The tutorials that inform and educate about herbs and other natural substances. The tutorials where you learn about things very few others talk about. Moreover, the things talked about are discussed in a common sense and structured manner. Here you get answers. Here you're going to learn why, how, when, and when not to use herbs and other natural substances. I'm Richard Harris, and in this podcast, I'm going to go through the controversial topic of bathing immediately after childbirth. Here, I'm going to take you through an interesting, logical, and common sense discussion of the downside of this practice. After watching this video, one should be able to come to a practical and common sense conclusion about whether it's sensible to do so or not to. This video is a bit long, and in these modern times, many people are busy, plus the attention span of people are becoming shorter. Therefore, I have decided to divide the episodes into two parts, just for simplicity. So there's going to be a part 1 and a part 2, and they will be released consecutively. Take out your common sense cap if you haven't used it for a while, dust it off, put it on, and come with me as we embark once again on another of our enlightenment journeys. Here we go. This is part 1. Not bathing immediately or a number of days after childbirth was a common practice, a way of life in the not too distant past. After a while, this common sense postpartum way of life fell into disuse in most developed countries and has also wormed itself into the thinking of the people of the developing world. There's an idiom that says, when the developed world sneezes, the third world catches the cold. Whatever worked very well for us in the so-called developing world, we discard for the enlightened thinking of the developed countries. There are a number of reasons for this abandonment. Firstly, there were no theoretical concepts or no writings warning of the dangers of bathing too soon after childbirth. Women were just told not to do so, and they did. No reasons were given. As such, it was looked upon as old wives' tale, and it was discarded. Similarly, many other practices branded as such also fell through the cracks, as it were, and were unceremoniously disbanded. One such example is being given a piece of aloes sweetened sugar water or a tea made from turmeric after falls, accidents, etc. This common sense practice is hardly employed anymore. Another reason for this discontinuation of not bathing immediately after childbirth was modern thinking. Whenever science cannot explain the reason behind a practice, it is frowned upon, ridiculed, and unceremoniously disbanded. They did the same thing with herudotherapy. At one time, the whole world was doing it. Because of the abuse of this practice, as well as the Western world's failure to understand the mechanism behind the practice, they dropped it like some West Indian cricketers drop catches, or the way politicians drop burning issues whenever accountability is demanded of them. Don't take me seriously, this is just me being funny. Today, herudotherapy has re-emerged in some of the biggest and most prestigious hospitals. Let us examine the thinking behind this long ago forbidden practice of not bathing immediately after childbirth. The environmental factors of wind, heat, cold, dampness, etc. are parts of nature and therefore has a profound effect on everything in nature. We could use our senses and discern when those environmental factors are making their presence felt. For example, when there's heat, things get hot and expand. When there's coldness, the temperature of the things affected drops and there's contraction. We see and feel the effects of wind. Then there's dryness and extreme heat and the extreme heat of summer. These factors are all felt and their effects are observed. Which one of us can watch a derelict vehicle or anything for that matter left to the elements and cannot see the effect of each one of the different elements ravaging the vehicle after a while? Which one of us has never caught a cold after experiencing a draft? A draft is described as a current of cold air moving through a room or even in the atmosphere. How many of us haven't caught the flu from getting wet in the rain? In most cases, the above happened while we were relatively healthy. Why do we avoid going out in extreme weather when we are sick? And why, if we do, we make sure we are well covered and protected? Following this line of thinking, why is it not possible for a pregnant woman who after delivery and has lost blood and energy and whose body is in a depleted and weakened state to not be susceptible to the ravages of those same elements? And continuing with this line of reasoning, why after childbirth women are put to convalesce in cold environments in health facilities? Human beings are part of the environment, and like the trees, the animals, the derelict vehicle, and everything else, we are subject to the laws of nature. Yes, the environmental factors affect us in like manner. Therefore, when we are at the negative end of those factors, that is, when those factors are attacking our bodies, we manifest symptoms that are characteristic of the said environmental factors. For example, when heat affects us, we get fever, we feel hot, we get red, and there's restlessness. When cold is attacking the body, we feel chill. There's no sweating. We crave warmth. We develop an aversion to cold, and so on and so forth. What protects us from these factors is our immune system, which operates on two levels. The first is at the superficial levels, that is, the skin, the muscles, and the sinews. This defensive mechanism is known as the Wei Qi in traditional Chinese medicine. This level of protection comes into operation when any of the above environmental factors are attacking the body. That's when there's a feeling of malaise and one feels like he or she is catching something. Here is where the symptoms of fever, chills, body aches, pains, etc. manifest themselves. That's when we often hear statements such as, "I think I'm coming down with something." During these attacks, the pathogen is thought of as being an external one and is said to be residing in the superficial layers of the body. That is, the skin, the muscle, and the sinews. The second level of immunity is found at a deeper level, such as at the level of the blood, the organs, and the bones. When this deeper level of immunity is compromised, the difficult and recalcitrant type diseases manifest themselves. This is why we experience the diabetes, the cancers, the chronic diarrhea, the anemia, the tuberculosis, organ prolapse, etc. These two different but interdependent qis or immunity combine to form the normal or complete immunity of the body. They are not separate, but they have separate functions and they are interdependent. The external qi is a result of breathing, so its source is basically from the outside, and the quality of the atmosphere is important for this qi. The internal qi is derived mainly from food, so the quantity and quality of food and the time of eating determines this quality of qi. They are not only interdependent, they also support and supplement each other. The external qi or immunity protects the internal qi, and the internal qi nourishes and controls the external qi, creating a balance. What one can surmise from this is someone can have a deficient protective qi and a tendency to catch colds and viruses easily, but is relatively healthy because the chi operating at the inside of the body is strong. Conversely, one may have a strong defensive chi. He or she may hardly catch cold or other external pathogens, but may suffer a host of serious illnesses like cancers, diabetes, heart ailments, etc. In Western medicine, you'll notice if you pay attention, there are also two different forms of medical treatment for both levels of immunity. Even though Western teachings do not recognize that we have a two-tier immunity system. Nevertheless, they have the Panadols, the muscle relaxers, the rubs, and other over-the-counter medication used for headaches, fevers, colds, flus, etc. The feelings we often describe as coming down with something. Then there are the prescription drugs indicated for chronic illnesses. If you're enjoying this video and you're learning new things and you haven't subscribed, why not pause briefly, hit the subscribe button, and turn on notification. While you're doing so, please give it a thumbs up and comment. I'd really like to hear of the experiences of some of you mothers. This is the end of part 1. Sorry about all the technical details. It was really necessary in order to give context and credence to what is discussed. With these details, one can discern the thinking of our foreparents and come to realize the purpose and method dictating their actions. Ciao, ciao. Look out for part 2.